Students, today we are going to start with our next literature chapter, and that is the ingenious scientist. Let us first discuss the heading of the chapter. Ingenious. What is the meaning of ingenious? All of you know the meaning of genius. Genius is someone who has a high mental ability, very intelligent person. That is genius. What is the meaning of ingenious? Ingenious is someone who is very clever and inventive. The one who is never at rest and he is always willing to invent something new, do something new. Alright, so the ingenious scientist. So, yes, this chapter is about a very genius, very innovative, and creative scientist. Any guesses? Yes, so our this chapter is about great scientist Isaac Newton. As I say Newton, the first thing that comes up in the mind is apple, right? What was the most important invention of Newton? The gravitational force, right? You must have read about it in your science subject, that Newton was the one. He was sitting under the tree one day and one apple fell on his head. At that time he realized that there must be some force in earth that pulls everything towards it, right? So that is gravitational pull. So this was the most important invention, and this is the most talked about invention. But apart from gravitational force, Newton invented a lot of things. So who was Sir Isaac Newton? He was an English mathematician, physicist, astronomer, author, and whatnot. He is widely recognized as one of the most influential scientists of all times and as a key figure in the scientific revolution. Okay, so this chapter is all about Isaac Newton, his inventions, his hard work. Alright, so before starting the chapter, let us quickly go through the word bank. First word is ingenuity. Like ingenious, genius, ingenious, and ingenuity. These three words are quite interrelated. So what is ingenuity? The quality of being inventive. Ingenious means inventive, the one who's always willing, who's always ready to invent new things. And ingenuity is skillfulness, the ability or the quality of being inventive. Next, contrived. Contrived is invented. Apprentice. Okay, apprentice, beta, whenever you need to learn something, everything cannot be written in books, right? That's why your science teachers take you to labs so that you do something. Some practical knowledge is also required in some of the topics, right? So whenever you as a trainee work under some superior person, the one who has a lot of knowledge about a particular thing, and you work under him to gain knowledge, that is apprenticeship, and you work as an apprentice, right? You work as a trainee. Okay, so to gain practical knowledge, when we work under some supervisor, under some superior, that is called apprenticeship, and we become the apprentice. Alright, so apprentice is the trainee, you can say. Faculty. See, faculty has two meanings. Faculty means a group of people. Likewise, we say faculty of arts in colleges or university. We have faculty of arts, faculty of science, faculty of commerce. This way, when there is a competition, we say that the faculty members will decide who has won or who has lost. So faculty is a group also. A group of people who have a lot of knowledge about a particular thing, that is a faculty. Here the meaning of faculty is mental ability. So both things are interrelated. Faculty means mental ability, and faculty also means a group of people who have a lot of knowledge or mental ability about a particular subject. Okay, next is pride. Pride is when you spy on something, when you look at something very closely, so that is pride. hoppers. Hoppers, I can tell you by showing you a picture. This is a hopper. See, all of you can see the uppermost part. आप सबने चक्की देखी होगी, or maybe you must have heard about it. A machine which is used to grind grains, right? If you want the flour of wheat, so wheat will be put in the hopper, this uppermost part. यहाँ पर wheat को डालेंगे, इसके अंदर मशीन चलेगी, that wheat will be grind into flour, तो उससे आपका आटा बन जाएगा. So this is the uppermost part where the grain is put is the hopper. Alright, next is miniature. Miniature is a very small model of something. Small model. Right? Force of gravitation, this we have already discussed. The force that earth applies on everything that is upon it to pull it towards itself. Okay, the force applied by earth to pull everything towards it is called force of gravitation. Next is research. All of you know what is a research. Okay, accustomed to is being familiar with. Familiar is likewise we are familiar with our family members, we are familiar with our friends, so the person we know. Okay, so accustomed to is when we know someone. Knighthood. See, these days we don't have these titles, but in earlier times titles were given to someone who has done some exceptionally brilliant thing, right? So knighthood, a title given to a man by the British monarch in recognition of his achievements. What is a monarch? Monarch is a king. So in earlier times when there was rule of king and queen, so to honor someone, titles were given. Likewise we give awards, na, Padma Shri or Bharat Ratna, the national awards we have. So in earlier times there were titles. So knighthood was also one such title which was given in recognition of somebody's achievements. Alright, next is score. Score, you must have heard, dozen is 12. Yes, a week has 7 days and a score has 20 things. If I say score, 1 score oranges, that means 20 oranges. Next is endurable, is long lasting. If something is durable, endurable, that means it will last long. Okay, so these were the difficult words that we'll be facing in the chapter. Now let us start the chapter. So as you must have understood, the whole chapter is about Isaac Newton. The first line, the introductory line states, the story that you are going to read in is about a great scientist. It has been told in a simple and charming manner by Nathaniel Hawthorne, a famous American writer. So who's the writer of this chapter? Actually this chapter has been taken as an extract from a story written by Nathaniel Hawthorne. She's an American writer. So let's start the chapter now. On Christmas Day in the year 1642, Isaac Newton was born at the small village of Woolsthorpe in Lincolnshire. Okay, so this is the place where Isaac Newton was born in 1642. Isaac's father being dead, Mrs. Newton was married again to a clergyman. Her son was left to the care of his good old grandmother. So this is this introductory paragraph will tell you about the childhood of Isaac Newton. We can say that it was not a very happy childhood because his father died when he was very young. Isaac was quite young when his father died and his mother remarried. Isaac was left in the care of his grandmother, so his grandmother used to take care of Isaac. He was not a very bright student at school, but he was remarkable for his ingenuity in all mechanical occupations. So his mechanically he was very brilliant. That means he loved machines. He would open up any machine that he would see and would try to learn new things, try to invent new things out of the old machine. So mechanical occupation, his mind was very good, very bright. He had a set of little tools and saws of various sizes. Now you would say, ma'am, what is a saw? Saw here, saw doesn't mean see, saw and seen. No, saw is a mechanical instrument. See, I'll show you what is a saw. This is a saw. This is called Ari in Hindi. This is used to cut wood, hard wood, right? So it's quite sharp and is used to cut wood. So he had a lot of saws of various sizes manufactured by himself. So these instruments were not purchased, but actually Newton made it by himself. With the aid of these, what is the meaning of aid? Aid is help. As we say first aid, so first aid is first help, right? If someone is injured, we help him, na? The first help that we give to an injured person is the first aid. So aid is help. So with the help of these, Isaac contrived. What is the meaning of contrived? Yes, invented. Isaac invented many curious articles. So with the help of these instruments that he had, the tools he had, he invented many things. He seemed to have been born with a saw or chisel in his hand. So see, this is what we call hyperbole. Hyperbole means when you exaggerate something. See, they have written, he seemed to have been born with a saw or chisel in his hand. Let me first show you what is a chisel. See children, this is a chisel. Okay, if you ask your fathers, your father will definitely tell you what is the use of a chisel. I can just give you a rough idea that it is also used in mechanical things, to operate mechanical things, to fix some machines. So like hammer, we have chisel, we have these saw. So there are a lot of things we have to fix machines. This is the chisel. Alright, so the line I was talking about, the exaggerated line is, he seemed to have been born with a saw or chisel in his hand. Now, why am I saying that this line is exaggerated one? Exaggerated means, अगर आप किसी चीज़ को बढ़ा चढ़ा कर बोलते हैं, we call it exaggerated line. So why this line is exaggerated? They are saying that he was born with a saw or chisel in his hand. Is it possible for a newborn baby to be born with something? No. A newborn baby is not born with anything. So this is a hyperbole, an exaggerated line, because Newton was so much engrossed in his work, in his mechanical work. He was so much in love with machines. He was found always with a saw, chisel, a hammer or something in his hand, that everyone used to say that he must have been born with a saw or chisel in his hand. Alright, so this is an exaggerated line. Do not get confused. Do not ask me such questions that, ma'am, was he really born with a saw or chisel? No, bache. This is just an exaggerated line, because Newton was always found with his tools. He was so much in love with his mechanical works, so much in love with his tools. He was always busy with some machine, busy in doing some new invention. That's why people used to say this. Alright, so now let's move on to the next paragraph. Some of his friends no doubt advised Isaac's grandmother to apprentice him to a clockmaker. Apprentice means, see, I have written here also, disciple or trainee. So we discuss this word in the word bank also, that apprentice is someone who works as a trainee under some supervisor to gain mechanical knowledge, to gain practical knowledge. So now here Isaac's friend used to advise his grandmother that Isaac must be sent to some clockmaker, because his mechanical skills were very good, and he also had knowledge of mathematics. He also had a very good taste for mathematics, and this knowledge could be very well used in the profession of clockmaking. And then in due time, Isaac would set up for himself and would manufacture curious clocks. So now Isaac's grandmother agreed, and she sent him to a clockmaker. But obviously, because he is Isaac Newton, he was never satisfied with simple clocks. इसाक न्यूटन को कभी भी ये नहीं था कि मुझे बस सिंपल क्लॉक बनानी है जैसे कि हमेशा से बनती आई है, बिकॉज ही वॉज सो इनोवेटिव. वो ही वुड नेवर रेस्ट कि नहीं बस ये क्लॉक बन गई है सो आई वुड दिस इज़ इट. नो, he was always ready to invent new things. He was always restless. No, I want something new, something new. So he made curious clocks. Indeed, he had already made one of a kind which nobody had ever heard of before. He made one of a kind of a clock. That means a different one that no one had heard of before. It was set going not by wheels and weights like other clocks but by the dropping of water. So he made a water clock. Right? So this clock that Isaac invented, that he made, used to work by water. This was an object of great wonderment to all the people round about. That means those who lived nearby all were amazed that how can a clock work with water. Besides the water clock, Isaac made a sundial. Okay, let me ask you one question. Which is the biggest sundial, working sundial in India? Yes, Jantar Mantar. Jantar Mantar in Delhi. It is the biggest sundial. What is a sundial? Sundial is a clock. Sundial, yes, sundial is a clock only. It's a device that tells the time of day when there is sunlight by the apparent position of the sun in the sky. Understood? It's a device that tells the time by using the apparent position of sun in the sky. Okay, so sundial you can call it as a different kind of a clock which will tell you the time by the position of sun. Alright, so Isaac invented sundial also. Thus his grandmother was never at a loss to know the hour, for the water clock would tell it in the shade and the sundial in the sunshine. So his grandmother was never at a loss because she would in any case get to know the time. Reason being, if there is no sun in the sky, she would use water clock, and if there is sun in the sky, she would use sundial. So in both the cases, whatever was the weather, Isaac's grandmother knew time at every hour. Alright, so Isaac possessed a wonderful faculty. Faculty is mental ability of acquiring knowledge by the simplest means. Now see, beta, when you solve mathematical calculations also, your teachers tell you to solve the question in simple ways, right? They teach you in the way which is simple for you to understand, right? Because when you understand a thing in a simple way, it becomes easier for you to understand and to apply it, right? So instead of using a difficult formula, instead of using a difficult method of doing something and end up by doing wrong question, by finding out wrong answer, it is way better to use a simple method and come out with the correct answer, right? So this was the case with Isaac. He had this mental ability of acquiring knowledge by simple means. He never applied difficult methods, he never applied difficult formulas in calculating anything. Simple methods. For instance, to gauge the strength of the wind. That means if he ever wanted to calculate the strength of the wind, he jumped against the wind, and by the length of his jump, he could calculate the force of gentle breeze, a brisk gale, or a tempest. I know that you will be a bit confused in this line. Let me explain you. Whenever the wind blew, right? So Isaac used to jump against it. Jump against means if the wind is blowing coming from the north direction, he would jump towards the north direction, right? Obviously the wind will oppose the movement because you are jumping against the wind, so the wind will oppose the movement. So by the distance covered, if he jumped the distance covered, this will help him to understand whether the wind is a breeze, whether the blowing air is a breeze, a brisk gale, or a tempest. Alright. Thus, even in his boyish sports, he was continually searching out the secrets of philosophy. So while playing also, he was searching something new. Not far from his grandmother's residence, there was a windmill which operated on a new plan. So there was a new windmill. I hope you know what is a windmill. If you don't know, let me show you the pic. This is a windmill. What happens in a windmill? See, these are the sails that you see here, na, the 4 sails. If you look at your ceiling fan, a ceiling fan has 3 or 4 sails, right? जो पंखुड़ियाँ होती हैं पंखे की, in your ceiling fan you can see these are the sails. So a windmill also works on the principle of blowing wind. When the wind blows, these sails move, and when these sails move, the motor connected with this windmill, it starts, and with this motor you can operate some a mill which would grind grains or something else. You can run any machine with the use of that motor, right? I am repeating myself. When wind blows, these sails of windmill, they move, and when they move, the motor connected with it also starts. So when power gets generated in the motor, that power can be used to operate a machine, and that machine can be anything. It can be a mill or something else also. Okay, so there was a new windmill near his grandmother's place. He was very curious to know the principle of this new windmill. Isaac spent many hours in examining its various parts while the mill was at rest. So when this windmill used to be at rest, Isaac would go there. He pried into its internal machinery. That means he would go and spy. He would closely see what were its parts and how it operated. When its broad sails were set in motion by the wind, he watched the process by which the millstones were made to revolve and crush the grain that was put into the hoppers. Hoppers, I already showed you. Let me show it to you again. This one, the uppermost part is the hopper. We put the grains here. When the motor starts, those grains are ground into flour. So this was connected with the windmill. Now on the next page you will see, after gaining a thorough knowledge of its construction, he was observed to be unusually busy with his tools. So when Isaac came back after having a look at the windmill, he got busy with his tools. What was he doing? He had constructed a model of the windmill. So he made a miniature model of the windmill. Every part of the mill and its machinery was complete. Its little sails were neatly made of linen and whirled round very swiftly when the mill was placed in a draught of air. So this miniature windmill was very much similar to the actual windmill. The sails were made of linen, and whenever there was a smooth blow of air also, these sails used to move. Even a puff of wind from Isaac's mouth or from a pair of bellows was sufficient to set the sails in motion. तो अगर इसाक फूंक भी मारता था तो भी those sails used to set in motion and the windmill would start. And what was most curious, if a handful of grains of wheat were put into the little hopper, they would soon be converted into snow white flour. So the most interesting thing was that this windmill worked. This windmill worked properly. A hopper was attached to it and a few grains were put into it. So whenever Isaac used to blow air with his mouth, this windmill started, and those grains that were put in the hopper were ground into fine flour. Alright, so he made a working model of a windmill, a miniature working model. Alright, Isaac's playmates were enchanted with his new windmill. So obviously for kids this is a wonderful toy. So his friends were very happy to see this. But Isaac said one of them, "You have forgotten one thing that belongs to a mill." So one of his friend pointed out that, "Isaac, you have forgotten something in this windmill." "What is that?" Isaac said. Isaac was quite surprised that how can I forget something? I have paid attention to each and every part of the windmill. What is left? Where is the miller? Said his friend. His friend said, "Where is the miller? Who is going to operate the mill?" "That is true. I must look out for one," said Isaac. Now Isaac says, "Yes, you are true. I must look for some miller." So it was quite easy for Isaac to bring a false man and put it there, right? A miniature man, a toy could have been placed there near the windmill, and he could have completed his work by saying, see, this is the miller. But no, he wanted, because he had made a working mill, it was a working model, so he wanted a true miller. That is true, I must look out for one, said Isaac. He might easily have made the miniature figure of a man, but then it would not have been able to move about and perform the duties of a miller. So he wanted his miller to perform the duties of miller also. It so happened, however, that a mouse had just been caught in the trap, and as no other miller could be found, Mr. Mouse was appointed to that important office. So, what was the important office? The post of miller, right? He, that means the mouse who was just caught in the trap, was appointed as the miller. He was made the miller of the mill. The new miller made a very respectable appearance in his dark grey coat. Dark grey coat here doesn't mean that he was wearing a coat. It means that it was a grey mouse. So obviously his fur was grey. So that's why it has been said that the new miller appeared, made a very respectable appearance in a grey coat. To be sure, he had not a very good character or honesty, and was suspected of sometimes stealing a portion of the grain which was given to him to grind. So obviously, because it's a mouse, so whatever grain was given to him to grind, he would steal, or you can say that he would eat some of the grains. Alright, so now as Isaac grew older, all day long if left to himself, he was either absorbed in thoughts or engaged in some books of mathematics or natural philosophy. So, if he was left to himself, that means if you do not go to him, if you do not disturb him, you will always find him with his books of either mathematics or natural philosophy, or he would be engaged in his thoughts. At night, he looked up with curiosity at the stars and wondered whether they were words like our own, and how great was their distance from the earth. So obviously Newton was once a scientist who was always engaged. He had no कहते हैं ना कि उसको दुनिया से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, right? So he was always engaged in his thoughts. He was always engaged, how far are these stars from earth, what is the distance of planets from each other. So he was always engaged in these thoughts, and yes, at night he looked up with curiosity at stars and wondered whether they were world like our own, and how great was the distance from the earth, and what the power that kept them in their courses was. So why are the stars stuck at that place? Why are they not coming towards us? What is the distance between the earth and other planets? How far are the stars from us? These were the thoughts that always used to move in his mind. When Isaac was 14 years old, his mother wished her son to leave school and assist her in managing the farm at Woolsthorpe. So, because Isaac's stepfather also died and his mother was all alone, so his mother asked Isaac to come and assist her in the farm work. She must be having farm, right? So she was all alone and she wanted her son to come up and help her with the farm work. For a year or two, therefore, he tried to turn his attention to farming. Although Isaac was not at all interested in farming, but because his mother wanted him to join her in the farming, that's why he went there. But every time he was lost in his thoughts, and he always wanted to go back to his school. So at last, his mother sent him back to school, and after school he went to University of Cambridge. You remember, I suppose, the story of an apple falling on his head and thus leading him to discover the force of gravitation which keeps the heavenly bodies in their courses. When he had once got hold of this idea, so this we all of us know that he invented gravitational force when he saw an apple falling on the ground, right? So once he got to know this gravitational force, he was never at rest. He was always he was always in search of new things. He never permitted his mind to rest until he had searched out all the laws by which the planets are guided through the sky. This he did as thoroughly as if he had gone up among the stars and tracked them in their orbits. So, sitting at his home, he did such precise calculations. Uh, he was so much involved in his work, and he was so genius you can say, because he was so hardworking and his work was so precise. And you can say that sitting at home he calculated so accurately as if he was there in the sky, and he calculated everything sitting there in the sky. That means if he would say that this is the distance between this planet and this planet, he calculated it here now on earth. He calculated it here, sitting here at his home, but the calculation was as precise as he would have gone there in the sky and calculated it there. अंडरस्टूड उन इसाक न्यूटन की कैलकुलेशन इतनी ज़्यादा परफेक्ट थी, ऐसे लगता ही नहीं था कि उसने अपने घर में बैठ के या फिर धरती पे रह के, अर्थ पे रह के वो कैलकुलेट किया है. ऐसा लगता था कि वो आसमान में गए हैं और उन्होंने प्लैनेट्स के बीच में डिस्टेंस को देखा है और लिखा है. राइट, दैट मच जीनियस ही वॉज. ऑलराइट बच्चे, आई एम यूजिंग हिंदी at some points because I want you to understand this chapter very well. There are a lot of facts and figures in this chapter which is very important for you to understand. Alright, so these were a few inventions done by Isaac Newton. Now let's come on to the last page. While making these researches, he was accustomed to spend night after night in a lofty tower. So while he was doing these inventions, he was familiar. That means he used to spend all his nights in a lofty tower. Lofty is a tall tower, right? Tall and strong tower. Obviously, when you because he used to have a telescope, and he would spend his whole night watching, looking at the sky, looking at the stars and planets. So he chose a lofty tower for it, a huge tall tower where he used to spend his nights gazing at the heavenly bodies. Gazing means seeing very closely. Yes, gaze मतलब आप किसी को बहुत ध्यान से देख रहे हैं. So gazing at the heavenly bodies through a telescope. Telescope you already know. His mind was lifted far above the things of this world. This I already told you. उसको दुनिया से कोई लेना देना नहीं था. Isaac Newton was not at all interested in the worldly things. His mind was lifted far above the things of world. Alright, Newton lived to be a very old man and acquired great renown. Renown means fame. इसका मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि इसाक न्यूटन ने बहुत इन्वेंशंस की और उनको फेम नहीं मिला. नो, ही डिड अ लॉट ऑफ हार्ड वर्क, ही मेड अ लॉट ऑफ इन्वेंशंस, ही इन्वेंटेड अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स, एंड ही गेन्ड अ लॉट ऑफ फेम फॉर दैट. Right, so he earned renown. He was made a member of parliament and received the honor of knighthood. Knighthood, I explained you in the word bank, a title that was given by monarch to someone who has done a lot of achievement, who has achieved a lot of things. Right, so knighthood, the title of knighthood was given to him from the king, but he cared little for earthly fame. So this honor, award, fame, Newton was he had no such interest in all these things, as it's already written that his mind was lifted far above these things. ये चीज़ें इसाक न्यूटन को बहुत छोटी लगती थी कि मतलब उनको इन चीज़ों से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. ही वॉज जस्ट कंसर्न्ड अबाउट हिज इन्वेंशंस, about the knowledge he had gained and the knowledge he wanted to gain, the leftover things that he wanted to know, right? And felt no pride in the vastness of his knowledge. So he was so down to earth, he had no pride in him. He did not have this pride that, oh, I am so intelligent, I know so many things. No. So he was very down to earth, there was no pride in him. All that he had learned only made him feel how little he knew in comparison to what remained to be known. See students, this line is very important. because this will tell you the exact character of Isaac Newton. See, he was such a great scientist, he made so many inventions and he had so much of knowledge. Still, he felt that the things that are left are more than what I know, right? अगर उन्होंने ग्रेविटेशनल फोर्स को डिफ़ाइन किया और इफ़ ही इन्वेंटेड अदर थिंग्स, उनको ऐसा लगता था कि जो चीज़ें बच गई हैं वो तो बहुत ज़्यादा हैं, अभी तो मैंने कुछ भी इन्वेंट नहीं किया. A lot of things are left, right? So this was the true character of Isaac Newton. He was very down to earth and he always thought that the knowledge I have is so much less than what I have to acquire now, that I need to acquire, right? So see, one dialogue of Isaac Newton is given here. I seem to myself like a child. So he used to consider himself as a child. Why? Playing on the seashore. What is a seashore? Right, samudra ka kinara, the seashore. So he used to consider himself as a child playing on the seashore and picking up here and there a curious shell or a pretty pebble while the boundless ocean of truth lies undiscovered before me. So he says that I'm like a child who is happy playing with the shells and pebbles that I find on the seashore when I have a boundless ocean of knowledge still undiscovered in front of me. Right? I hope you understood this line. Isaac Newton says कि मैं तो एक ऐसे बच्चे की तरह हूँ जिसने कुछ पेबल्स या कुछ शेल्स अभी इकट्ठे किए हैं और उन्हीं को देखकर मैं खुश हो रहा हूँ, जबकि मेरे सामने पूरा समुद्र है नॉलेज का और उसके अंदर इतनी सारी चीज़ें हैं जो मुझे भी ढूंढनी है. ये मेरे पास एक गिलास पानी है. आई एम एक्सप्लेनिंग यू दिस इन अ सिंपल लैंग्वेज कि अगर आपके पास एक गिलास पानी है, इसाक न्यूटन कहते हैं मेरे पास सिर्फ एक गिलास पानी है और अभी मेरे पास पूरा समुद्र है जिसे मुझे जानना है जो मेरे पास नहीं है. आई हैव द होल ओशन ऑफ नॉलेज टू गैदर एंड आई हैव जस्ट अ फ्यू शेल्स और पेबल्स दैट आई हैव एक्वायर्ड. Right? So he considered himself very small in front of the knowledge that was still there to be discovered. At last in 1727, when he was 85 years old. So what was his age? In 1727 he was 85 years of age, right? 4 is 80 and 5 years old. Sir Isaac Newton died, or rather he ceased to live on earth. Ceased to live on earth. So he died, or you can say he never died. He just stopped living on earth, but he was always there and he is still there in our inventions, in the knowledge we have, in the books we read, in the practical knowledge that we gain from his inventions. So he's always there and he will always remain there. He has left fame behind him, which will be as endurable as if his name were written in letters of light formed by the stars upon the midnight sky. So his memory, his fame will always remain there as if the stars have written his name in the sky. The stars will always remain there and his name will also remain there. Alright students, so this was the chapter. It's an extract taken from a story of Nathaniel Hawthorne. I hope you understood the chapter. There were a lot of inventions that we talked about made by Isaac Newton. Go through this video and I hope you understand each and every line.